Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Anime Champions, and in this video we are going to be doing one of the most requested things everyone has been asking about.
What is the best unit for this build? Is this unit good on this build, or should I use this for that?
So once and for all, I will be trying my best to explain
why it doesn't really matter
what build you do on your unit. I have done some testing to showcase the type of damage you can expect from each of the builds with certain types of affixes and combinations. So yeah, let's go ahead and get right into the results. Alright, so once again, this was done using the 8 best units in the game, from Godly, Timebreaker, all the way up to White Mustache. Second, we used each unit and then we used its counter affix. So we tested its normal DPS as well as its burst DPS if it applied. Now, the combinations I use for Warrior was double Warrior with Titan Boxer, and for Mage I use double Mage with Titan Crimson. Titan serves as the control, as it is versatile and works for both builds, and obviously Boxer and Crimson are like the main builds for their the main quirks for their respective builds. So we're gonna go ahead and start with Timebreaker first. As you guys can see, Godly Timebreaker did astounding 17 to 18 trillion on the boss. By the way, this was all done on Akainu, the last boss from One Piece with 1 quad HP. So it did around 17 to 18 trillion DPS with no burst damage. And then the Mage build did a burst damage of 45 trillion. Now, these numbers don't mean anything right now because we're looking at individual units. So as we look more into, that unit compared to other units, it will start making more sense why it doesn't really matter. Next up, we have Godly Retsuki. Warrior build did 18 to 19 trillion. You guys can see it's just 1 trillion more than the other unit, which makes sense because it's just slightly better. And the burst damage was actually less. That's right. So one of the few cases where it does matter is right here. So on the Retsuki, you would prefer to use the Warrior build, and on Timebreaker, you would basically prefer to use the Mage build. There you go. Next up, we have Godly Genshiro. Warrior build did 19 to 20 trillion. Once again, just 1 trillion more increment. And Godly Genshiro with Titan Crimson Mage build did a burst damage of 46.8 trillion. Now, why is that highlighted? You're about to see. Next up, we got Godly Takeshi with Boxer build or Warrior build doing 20 to 21 trillion, and then its Mage version doing 45 trillion. You guys can see Godly Genshiro is actually doing more than Godly Takeshi as a Mage. So once again, you would want to use a Mage build on Godly Genshiro because it's outperforming a Later World Cosmic in that. Next up, we have Cursed Hunter. Pretty standard, 21 to 22 trillion on Warrior, and then a burst damage of 51 trillion, which makes sense because since it's a higher world cosmic, it's doing more damage. But once again, because of its long ability time, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter depending on the skin you use too. Like, these were all done using their native skin. Like, Gon had its own skin, just the Mage and Warrior version. I didn't use like Aizen or Naruto or anything like that. So once again, this one doesn't really matter. Next up, we have Leader. Titan Boxer Warrior build did 22 to 23, and the Mage build did barely more than the Curse build actually. So in this one, it's kind of safe to say you want to use a Warrior build for Leader. Next up, we have Godly Captain, which did 44 trillion on average for the normal DPS, and the Godly Captain with Mage build did 55.6 trillion, which is just a slight increase from Leader, which once again, it's kind of safe to say you kind of probably want a Warrior build on this unit. Next up, we have Whitebeard, and before you look at the numbers and go, wow, that's a big increase, remember, Whitebeard is much stronger than any of these previous Galaxy 1 Cosmics. So Warrior build Godly Whitebeard is doing 29 to 30 trillion, and then its Mage version is doing 69 trillion burst damage. So there you go. This kind of showcases the type of damage you can expect. I could have done another test to see how long it takes to kill each boss, which would actually be a little bit more definitive proof, like what to use. But I don't think we really need to do that, because apart from those two units, Godly Timebreaker and Godly Genshiro, it doesn't really matter what you use a build on. Like for those two, you probably want to stick with a mage build. But other than that, it doesn't really matter, guys. The important thing is just getting those quirk combinations on your team and making sure you have a team. Don't worry about the specifics of each unit. So yeah, that's what I have to say about that. Alright everyone, so this is post video, and I decided to do some more testing to make sure I know exactly what I'm talking about. So in top of the things we had I also calculated the time it took to kill a Kainu for each of the builds. For the warrior build, I just let it attack from the start because there is no ability. But for the mage build, everything was charged when I first started attacking, so it went in attacking fully charged. So just keep that in mind, because if it was not fully charged, the damage would be, you know, the time would be really bad. And we're assuming that this is each build at their maximum potential. So yeah, so let's get into the results. So for Godly Timebreaker, you guys can see it took about 1 minute to kill it with the warrior build, and around the same time to kill it with the Magnus or the mage build. For Godly Retsuki, it took around 56 seconds for the warrior build, and for the mage build, it took almost 10 extra seconds. Also, I forgot to mention, this whole time I had auto clickability off in case of those little pesky, you know, extra HP left over, so it was just pure abilities and build being factored. Next up, we had Genshiro. This one was actually kind of interesting. It actually killed it faster with the mage build by 6 seconds, so I guess mage build might be better on him. So there we go. For Godly Takeshi, once again, mage build killed it a little bit faster, which was actually surprising. 54 seconds for the warrior and 47 seconds for the mage build. Now for Cursed Hunter, this one was actually very shocking. You guys can see it took 49 seconds to kill it with the warrior build and 54 seconds to kill it with the mage build. I double tested this twice actually, just to make sure it wasn't like an outlier, and I got the same result. So it's kind of shocking. Everyone thought mage would be better, but I guess warrior might be better. So yeah, there you go. For leader, around the same time, 47 seconds to 50 seconds. So I guess it doesn't really matter if you choose Titan. I mean, if you choose Boxer or Crimson, there you go. For Levi, we have 44 seconds on warrior build, and then around 46 or 47 seconds for Crimson build. Now the last one we have right here, I figured this as much. For Godly Whitebeard, we have 35 seconds for the warrior build and 45 seconds for the mage build. So there you go. Once again, I'm gonna go over and recap what you should be using for each unit, but like I said in the beginning of the video, it doesn't really matter that much. Alright, so for Godly Timebreaker, you should, and when I am done with this edit, I will have green on the one you should use for each unit, so you guys can find the final list on my Discord if you guys want to. So for Godly Timebreaker, it doesn't really matter. For Godly Retsuki, you want to use the punch build. For Godly Genshiro, you want to use the mage build. For Godly Takeshi, you want to use the mage build. For Cursed Hunter, you want to use the punch build. And for Godly Leader, it doesn't really matter. For Godly Captain, it doesn't really matter, but I would probably prefer Titan or Warrior build. And for Godly Mustache, definitely use Warrior build. But yeah, that's probably going to be it for this video. It's a very short video. A lot of you guys are actually asking, what am I going to do for my team? And this is what I will say. In the long run, I think having two separate teams will be best. One for Mage and one for Crimson. One for Mage and one for Warrior. my warrior build is probably going to be most likely a mixture of Celestial Titan Celestial Boxer, Titan Boxer with Celestial Boxer. I believe those two are the best. It'll just be a mix of those two. Whatever I get, I will keep. And for my mage build, it will probably be Titan Crimson as that does the most burst damage. So if you guys are wondering what I will do, that's probably what I will do. I will first start with my warrior build just to get that out the way, because I'm almost done with that on both my alt account and my main account. This is my alt account, as you guys can see. So yeah, that's pretty much what I will do. Other than that, the units, like I said, does not really matter. Use whatever you want. But that's gonna be it for this video. If you enjoyed, leave a like, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.